Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Southern Gateway Chorus live stream, the only channel where price tag is one that I don't know all four to. My name is Zach Coleman. I'll be your host today. Joe is having some technical difficulties, as well happens in a world where everything is remote, but that's just fine. We can handle just on our own. We don't need a dumb Joe. I miss you. So I wanted to talk to you guys a bit today. And by the way, I really hope that you guys are getting in touch and you're talking with me because I want to hear your opinion on a lot of the stuff we're going to talk about today. And by that, I mean the thing we're going to talk about today. But I wanted to start by going back into something we have mentioned before, which is that on August 19th is a Southern Gateway Chorus open house style guest night. It's going to be a ton of fun. I hope everybody who's in the area can stop by. If you need any information, check our Facebook page. There's actually an event for it there. You can find all the information you need. It's going to be fantastic. Big old party. Gonna love it. Hope that you guys can stop by if you're in the area, see what we're about, get to know us. We want to get to know you. Ton of fun. I'm stoked about it. So here's kind of what I want to talk about today. I don't know what brought this into my mind, but it was, good Lord, a few years ago when I was working more involved with the Greater Cincinnati Harmony Festival, which now is the Greater Cincinnati Harmony Camp. I was talking with a buddy of mine who was also involved in that, and he was saying that in terms of the way we talk about it to kids and getting them to want to come do this thing, that we should use the term a cappella more than the word barbershop. In fact, he said we shouldn't even use the word barbershop until like day 2 or 3 of the camp. And that really struck me the wrong way. Love this guy. He's a great dude, very, very intelligent man, but it just hit me the wrong way, just that concept of, hey, let's, in a way it's a bait and switch, which not in an aggressive way. It's technically still true, like barbershop is a cappella music, but it's something about it felt wrong. And it wasn't until a year or two later that I actually heard someone say exactly what I was thinking, which I was happy about. I went to a leadership thing within the Johnny Appleseed district, and a woman by the name of Michelle Neese, who is fantastic, by the way. If you've never heard of her, she knows everything in the entire world. She said that one of the biggest things, I was on it was like a marketing class, and one of the things that she said was, one of the biggest things we can do is embrace the brand. And I love that. And she showed a picture, and it was exactly what you would expect when you think of barbershop. Again, when my dad was the youth outreach guy for the Southern Gateway Chorus, he would take my quartet, this is when I was younger, and we would go in and sing at high schools and kind of explain things. And his method was very simple. He said, you're going to walk up, before anything, you're going to walk up, you're going to sing a song. And then he's going to start a spiel. And the spiel always started with, what do you think you just heard? Right? And I want to say it's a 50-50 that kids would say, oh, a cappella, or oh, quartet. But that other 50% was someone actually could call out barbershop. And that was again, not really a bait and switch, because we didn't tell them what we were walking into. We just sang. And the question always came after that. He would ask, what do you think of when you imagine a barbershop quartet? That was an awful my dad impression. Don't tell him I did that. That was really bad. But he would always ask, what do you picture when you think of a barbershop quartet? And 100% of the time, to the T, what we would get is 4 old guys in stripy vests and straw hats singing old songs that no one's ever heard of. 100% of the time, that's what we got from it, right? And you might say to yourself, well, if that's their opinion of it, they're not going to want to do it if you embrace the brand, right? They're not going to want to jump into this thing where their grandpa and his 3 buddies wear stripy vests and straw hats and go sing songs no one's ever heard of. Why would they want to get involved with that? But here's my argument. There's nothing wrong with what barbershop actually is, which again, over the past 6 weeks, that's kind of what we've been talking about, is what it actually is. And there's nothing wrong with it. It's just the perception that people have. And my biggest proof to this point is Main Street. Everybody loved Main Street, and I don't have the stats in front of me, but I would not be surprised if we heard that Main Street had some of the most views of any barbershop YouTube video in existence. The pop medley specifically, which is barbershop. Like it's making fun of other things, but it itself is barbershop. And what did they wear? Vests, tap shoes, straw hats, armbands, and that was their shtick, and everybody loved it. They embraced the brand. Now, you could say, but they're a comedy quartet. Are they? I think they're just silly guys being themselves. And that's the point that I'm trying to get to, right? Is that I think that the more we try to, I don't know where this, the more we try to mask the term barbershop under something that people are already into, the more we lose what barbershop is, and then eventually they're not getting into barbershop. I want to make this point also. My dad and I are a lot on the same wavelength with this. I have nothing against the non-barbershop stuff that quartets do. I love it. I do. I love all of it. How many of the bigger name quartets have their CDs out where a lot of the not a lot of the songs, I guess, but the songs that are contestable that are barbershop, there's maybe like 50%, and the other 50% is not barbershop stuff. There's nothing wrong with that, and those songs are great. Can I think of any off the top of my head? No. I haven't thought that far in advance. Yes, I can. Instant Classic did Follow Me. You don't know how you met me, you don't know why. It was great. It was such a good song. That's a great track for an album. But the problem comes in, and I'll get to, I think this is kind of the important part. The problem comes in when you start to mask what is barbershop as that stuff, then that's where people go. And they miss out on the other stuff. I've said, I've been doing this since I was 10 years old. That makes 18 years because I'm old. And the one thing I've always said is, no matter what you do, and I've said this before on the stream, barbershop is the hardest style of music that exists. It just is. If anybody wants to tell me I'm wrong, go ahead. But it really is. It's the most difficult style of music. You want to talk about learning an instrument, there might be instruments that are more difficult to learn than the voice, but I also kind of want to fight that. Sing a G. If you've got perfect pitch, you can do it. If somebody plays it first, you can do it. Play a G on a piano. There's a button. Bing! Was that a G? I'm going to check that. Somebody check that. Was that a G? But that's the thing, right? Singing is not easy just because you talk. Now, mind you, you should sing more like you talk, and if we want to get a singing person here to tell me I'm wrong about that, they'll be wrong. But the point is, thank you. The point is, it's difficult to be able to sing a thing while 3 other people or a bunch of other people are singing 3 different things along with you. People don't understand the complexity of that and the tuning of things. A lot of the acapella stuff that's out there, the more like pop acapella or whatever other acapella things are out there, a lot of those are very, thank you, Layla. A lot of those are actually kind of easy. Here's your part. Doom, 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 doom. You got nothing else to think about other than that most of the time. You're playing a riff. You're doing a riff. You're, in essence, a lot of those other style of acapella styles are singing together in spite of each other, which G sharp. Thanks, Matt. I was close. But what was I talking about? Yes, but that's a good way to get someone to learn how to do quote-unquote barbershop, is to say, okay, sing your part, don't listen to them, you need to do your own part. And that's great if you're learning to sing barbershop for the first time. As anybody who's been singing barbershop for a while can tell you, the point of it is to sing your part with somebody else, reacting off of what they do. If they're like a quarter step sharp, you better be a quarter step sharp. If you got to tune it a certain way, you got to do that kind of thing. And that's the kind of thing that nothing else talks about, right? Like when you're playing, maybe I don't know, I've never played violin. Maybe a violinist likes to tune on cents, on the 100 cents or whatever. I don't know. I've never done it before. But do a quarter step on a guitar. It's not going to happen. I got it over there. I'm not going to play it. But I'm saying it doesn't happen. You play dun 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 dun, or rather dun 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 dun. Right? There's no middle ground. Whereas the voice can do that. Go into any choral style where it's singing against a piano. Right? You never say, hey, the piano's playing a G, but I want you to be just slightly above a G. No, you don't want that if you're playing with a piano because it won't tune properly. These are things that barbershop makes different. And when we're going back to the point now. Thank you for going on my ADD ramble. I appreciate it. When we start to brand ourselves as, no. It's just a cappella. Then you lose those things. And then you take those people who are so firm in this 4-part a cappella harmony that's just a cappella and not barbershop. You take them and you give them a barbershop chart, and it's going to sound bland because they don't know the barbershop stuff. And now you can say, okay, well, let's teach them that. But they're already set in their ways. That's my point. My big point is this. My mom is a teacher. And she and I talk a lot about like education and things like that. And the one thing she always says is, in the early years of development, your job is not to teach them the facts. Your job is to teach them the mindset. How can we teach them? She's a math teacher, so it gets way more complicated than that, but I'm going to simplify. Their point is, how are you going to expect a kid who gets into high school to understand calculus to its fullest if all they've ever done is memorize arithmetic? It doesn't work that way. You have to teach them why the numbers do what they do so that when you get to the higher math, you can understand those numbers. That's my point with barbershop. How are you going to tell a singer who's getting into this style to understand the itty-bitty teeny tuning things and the chord structures and the things that barbershop has? How do you expect them to understand those things eventually when you start with, no. You're just singing your part against somebody else. It just makes it that much more complicated. Think of everything that George Gipp and everybody who's been on the last 6 or 7 weeks, what they've all been talking about, right? We brought up the point that, but this is a higher level thing, right? This whole like, get into the emotion of it and what does it mean to you, and well, don't talk about volume, talk about intimacy and intensity. Do you want to have those conversations with somebody new because they're just not there yet? The answer is yes. You do want to have those conversations with those people. Fact checking, go ahead, fact check me. I want to know what you're fact checking. I appreciate it. It works better. My father, Paul Coleman, just typed fact checking ... into the chat. He's never really known how to use ellipses, and I'll tell that joke later, but hopefully I didn't get something crazy wrong. But that's my point. You tell the early people exactly what they're going to get into. Or else when they get there, they're not going to be ready for it. If you've got this mindset in your head, all I have to do is sing my notes on my words and smile. Heart of my heart, I love you. Right? You're never going to get there because then you have to have those conversations. And in your head, look, with the way that I think, I can tell you that this is the case. This is not speculation. This is just how it is. When you go, 16 years of your job is sing the right notes on the right words, have the emotion that the song is presenting to you, and put on the best show you can. When that is what you are taught, then when you get to year, 17 and 18, and now everyone's saying, hey, by the way, you're thinking too much. I was told to think. That's what I'm supposed to do. And it gets me, checking with my mom to see if the math thing. Yeah, she'll say yes. But that's my point, right? When you teach somebody something and at the baseline you ignore what's coming later, you're going to lose it. So, original point, marketing and the branding of barbershop, right? How do we brand it so that people care and are interested? And actually, I have a really good example. This just popped into my head. I have a fantastic example. Over the last couple of weeks, a small group of Gateway put together a VLQ, a couple of different ones, to go sing at a place in town called Entertainment Junction. Yes, it's a big place with a bunch of model trains, and it's honestly spectacular. I'm not really a model train guy, but it's spectacular. But they had an exhibit. Then you scare them. We'll get there. We'll get to that, Layla. I appreciate you, and we will get there. We went. They have this exhibit about Christmas in July, and so we went and we did Christmas in July 2 weekends in a row. Early afternoon, small VLQs, very large quartet, not the whole chorus, for those who don't know that term. And we went and sang Christmas songs. And everybody loved it, right? Like, that's the thing, is that nobody said, why are these weird dudes just singing Christmas songs? It's not Christmas. It's like 6 months until Christmas. What's happening? But nobody said that. Everybody loved it. Now, here's the biggest example that I have. And this is where... This is kind of my gotcha card, if I will. Not the quartet, but they were great. The last show that we did, the last set that we did was a Sunday. It might have even been last Sunday. I could be wrong about that. I'm really bad at dates. I'm sorry. Just ask my girlfriend. Anyway, the last show we did, almost immediately, we start singing, and like our last song in that area was a strolling gig. On the third song we sang, this kid walks up. I'm really bad at ages. He was anywhere from 5 or 6 to like 9, but he was not 10 or older, right? And he comes walking up, and he starts listening, and he's just stuck on us. And he's laughing. And we get done singing. Now, mind you, there's not like a giant crowd or anything. We're not expecting applause. It's a strolling gig. We're the background music for other things happening. And this kid looks right at us, and he says, I don't know how you guys aren't just laughing. And here's the thing. He was into it. It wasn't like, oh, you guys are doing something silly and funny and stupid, and therefore I'm going to laugh at you. No, he just had that giddiness that made him want to laugh, because that's what happens. You get to a certain point. When I was acting, my acting coach would always say, you act until you can't act anymore, and then you sing. And then when you can't sing anymore, you dance. And then when you can't dance anymore, depending on the attitude, you either fight or you kiss, right? That's how it works. That's an emotional thing too. Once that level of excitement and happiness is up high enough, you laugh. And that's where he was. Can he explain that to you? No, he's like 9 or 7 or something. I don't know. But that's where he was. That is the proof that what we do, what barbershop is, transcends the concept of just good music. It's more than that. It's something that hits you from the center. And I bet you $1 million if a, 16-year-old had that exact same reaction that kid had, and we said, yeah, that's barbershop, he would not go, oh. Right? That's not a thing. Because once you hear it, it's right. And that's my point, right? And Layla, I want to talk about what you said. I was going into the whole teach him everything early, put him in the right mindset early. And your response was, then you scare them. I think that story kind of hits you there as well. That kid wasn't scared. Did we tell him how to do it? No. If he was older, would we have said sing a tag with us? Yes. And it's all about what you teach at what level. Again, this gets back into the whole education thing that my mom and I were talking about. Her point is that when you're young, when you're in those formative years, you train the mindset for what's coming next. So for him, our point is, do you feel that? Remember that. Always remember that, because that's what you want your audience to feel like. Always remember that. Now you get to 15, 16, 17, and then you say, okay, now think about it a little more. It's a process. It's a lead up. And again, for the sake of teaching, right, that's the process. But it goes back to the branding. It goes back to the marketing of barbershop, of what we want to be. What that's every coach lately, anyway. Maybe this is just a Joe or someone else thing. I don't remember. But someone starts the coaching session by saying, and I think we talked about this in one of the past streams, they say, what do you want to be when you grow up? Right? But why do they ask that question? Barbershop's just barbershop, right? It's not. If you want to be someone who makes teaching tracks and just makes teaching tracks, then learn a lot of theory and be able to memorize multiple parts quickly and get a studio set up. But if you want to be a barbershop performer, there's more to it than that. And this is a lesson that I'm just learning. I love how I'm here like preaching this to you. I don't listen to me for like how to do it. I've got my own ideas and I think they work, but I'm just learning all that stuff. But the branding in and of itself, if we change that first message, then once it's time to do the barbershop stuff, once it's time to really get into the meat of how do you tune a dominant 7 chord and where do all these pieces go, once you get to that, if they don't have that baseline of no, this creates this reaction, then they'll get lost immediately. And I think one of the big things that we as a society are working on right now is how do we... I lost all my words. That happens. How do we continue on the art form that is barbershop while still growing when nobody really knows what it is? And I believe that Michelle Neese in that marketing leadership class was absolutely correct. Embrace it. There's nothing wrong with it. It's fantastic. It's different from all the other styles. You cannot find a style of music that is similar. Say a cappella pop. Say a cappella jazz. I encourage you to say that. Go sing all 3 of them and figure out which one is the outlier. It's going to be barbershop. It's going to be barbershop every time. And we all know that. And that's the thing. That's the problem, right? Preaching to the choir here. Everybody watching this knows that, agrees with that, understands that. It's something that you learn the second you walk in. The question is, how do you get them to walk in? The answer, I'm glad you asked. Now that I've taken, 22 minutes to explain the whole thing. The answer, of course, is do it. Enjoy it. Have fun. Like I was saying when Dad would take my quartet into high schools, he didn't start by saying, we're going to sing barbershop for you. Because the preconceived notions of barbershop get in their head and then they don't enjoy anything. He didn't say, we're going to sing a cappella for you, because there's no point in that. Then they have their preconceived notions. You don't start with any words. You start with a song. You start by showing them. Jim Miller, fact check me, Jim Miller, Full Contact Barbershop. This isn't something to spectate unless you really, really just want to spectate, which is weird. This is something to do. This is something to be a part of. That's the answer in my head. Someone go ahead and tell me I'm wrong. We can discuss it. I insist you do so. Ooh, here we go. We have a long one. So Layla says, is it Layla or Leela? I feel like it's Layla because it's E-I. I'm going to pronounce it that way. Says, our chorus just lost a new member because she thought it was too difficult. That's a risk. But my question to you is, what would you have done differently? Not that I'm here to try and run your chorus. Don't get that at all. But in my head, barbershop is difficult. It's really, really hard. And to think that it's too difficult and not do it, that says something about the mindset. But we'll get into that some other time. But my big point is, there's still an expectation within the chorus. Okay, off topic. There's an expectation within the chorus to perform at a certain level, to do things at a certain level. And if someone does not want to play at that level, that's their choice. So off that one. But my big thing is this. It's going to be hard. And to perpetuate something that's difficult, something like, let's go like way off topic, or let's find an example that's way out there. What's something that's really, really hard? Some kind of like, I don't know, a sport, right? Sports are hard for me. Let's say soccer. There's been a lot of soccer happening lately, or at least in my life. The Miller line, yes. Leela. Okay, cool. I will pronounce your name correctly from now on. My bad. Soccer's hard. It's really hard. You've got however many minutes, 90-minute halves? I don't know. It's a long time of running, pretty much nonstop. The break that you get is the, okay. Oh, there they are. Now I got to kick it and run, right? It's hard. It's really hard. Why do people continue to do it? right? It's hard to say that you're not going to get people into something because it's a difficult thing. You should brand it as that. No, this is hard. This is really hard, but look at the outcome. That's where you start. You don't start someone into, let's say, soccer by saying, all right, I'm going to teach you a new sport. Here's what's going to happen. I need you to run all the way around this field at full speed for an hour and a half. Go. Right? No one wants to do that. Literally, well, maybe track and field people, but even then, they stop after a while. Nobody wants to do that, which is why, again, in the terms of a... If you tell them that, then they will not come back. See, I don't know that. Because, again, when you introduce somebody to soccer, what do? You show them a game. You show them it happening, and then they get excited. And you say, hey, this is going to be really hard. And they say, I want that. That's where barbershop is. Barbershop is show them what it is. Don't allude to it and hope that they get there. Show them barbershop. Show them the real deal. Let them experience everything that we as barbershoppers proclaim that barbershop is and can do. Do that. Embrace the brand. Because then people watch it and go, oh, I got to do that. I got to be a part of that. And people, a lot of people, and I don't want to tell you that you're wrong. A lot of people that I talk to and I'm like, hey, you should come do this. They go, oh no, that's way too hard for me. I couldn't do that. But why? Why have that perspective? Furthermore, if that's your perspective on it, okay, pay for tickets to all of my shows, buy my CDs. It's a little bit of a cynical way to look at it, but I mean, all right, if you like it and you don't want to do it, buy my stuff. But that's not the point. The point is, in order to get people in, it's finding the people who, I mean, now think of it further than that, right? Same with, let's say, me in soccer. I have no interest in playing soccer. Soccer is like running and doing things, and that sounds awful. That sounds like the worst day. But it's fun to watch. I enjoy watching it and seeing other people do it. It's an entertaining thing. So, sure, I'm never going to be a soccer player. But that doesn't mean I might not go buy tickets and watch an FC Cincinnati game. Sounds like fun, especially if they sell hot dogs. And there's kind of the side note of it being, of course, if you're someone who's not going to, if you know there's someone who's not going to participate, then it's hard to say, hey, participate. So you don't. You let them do it in other ways. It's the same thing with this stream, right? I encourage everybody to talk in the chat. I want to communicate with you. I want to talk with you guys. Am I going to have everybody on a stream all at once in their little own video box? Probably not. That's just probably not going to work out too well. First of all, I can't get that many screens on the screen at once. And second of all, some people don't watch it live. So there's a different place for everybody. But in terms of getting people to do it, the only people you're going to get to do something is somebody who would have done it in the first place. That's the principle I want to go off of. The only people who would become, I don't know, classical pianists. The only people who would do that are people who care to play the piano. The only people who would become barbershoppers are people who care to sing. That's the baseline of it. Are you a rock guitarist? Are you a country guitarist? Are you a classical guitarist? They're all different kinds, but you're not any of them if you have no interest in the guitar. And that's where I'm with barbershop. If you have no interest in singing in the first place, even like a little bit of interest, if you have no interest in singing in the first place, you're not going to come along. But if you do, here's why you should. And start the song. That's the most I've got out of it. I want to hear your thoughts on this, everybody. For those of you watching delayed, leave a comment, because A, I want to hear what you have to say. I want to hear what you have to say. And B, I want to hear Joe's perspective on this when he's not having technical problems. So let's get back to this another time. Appreciate you all for being here. If you haven't already, subscribe to the Southern Gateway Chorus YouTube channel. Leave a comment. Hit that notification bell so you know every time we go live or post a video. Those are coming up soon. Spoiler alert. And go ahead and leave a like on this video if you enjoyed it. My name is Zach Coleman, and on behalf of the Southern Gateway Chorus, I hope you guys have a great week.